Imagine standing at the edge of a still lake. You toss in a single pebble. At first it seems like nothing, but then ripples. They stretch outward, touching everything in their path. That's what a tiny habit does. It starts small, almost invisible, but over time it reshapes your entire life. Most people think transformation comes from big, dramatic changes. A new job, a strict diet, a 5 a.m. wake-up routine. But the truth? It's the smallest shifts, the ones no one sees, that create the biggest impact. A single glass of water in the morning, one push-up, writing one sentence, these are the pebbles. And they ripple. Let's take a look at something simple. Brushing your teeth. You don't think about it. You just do it. Twice a day, every day. That's a habit. Now imagine if you added one more thing to that routine, like saying one thing you're grateful for while brushing. It takes no extra time, but over weeks and months that tiny act rewires your brain to look for the good. That's the power of micro habits. Here's the wild part. Your brain doesn't care how small the habit is. It just cares that it's repeated. Every time you repeat a behavior, you reinforce a neural pathway. Do it enough and it becomes automatic. That's how habits are born. Not from willpower, but from repetition. Think of a domino. Not the big one at the end of the line, the tiny one at the start. That first domino is just 5 millimeters tall. But if each domino is 1.5 times bigger than the last, by the 23rd domino, you're toppling something taller than the Eiffel Tower. That's not magic. That's math. And that's exactly how small habits work. You don't need to change everything. You just need to change one thing, 1%. That's it. If you improve by just 1% every day, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. Not 37%, 37 times. That's the compound effect in action. But here's the catch. Because these changes are so small, they're easy to ignore. Easy to skip. Easy to say this doesn't matter. That's the danger. Because the same way good habits compound, so do bad ones. One skipped workout, one extra scroll, one more snooze button, they add up too, just in the opposite direction. So the question isn't, will I change? The question is, which direction am I changing in? If you're still watching, that means something in you is ready to shift. Maybe you've tried big changes before and burned out. Maybe you're tired of feeling stuck. Or maybe you're just curious, what if it really is this simple? And hey, if you're finding this helpful so far, take a second to subscribe to the channel. It's a small action, but it helps this message ripple out to more people. Just like the habits we're talking about, it's the little things that make a difference. Now let's go deeper, because knowing that small habits matter is one thing, but how do you actually build them? How do you make them stick when motivation fades and life gets messy? Let's find out. So now you know the smallest actions can ripple into massive change. But knowing isn't enough. The real magic happens when you start doing, and not just once, but consistently, quietly, until it becomes part of who you are. Let's start with something simple. Think of a habit you already do without thinking, like making coffee in the morning. That's your anchor. Now attach a new micro-habit to it. Maybe while the coffee brews, you stretch for 30 seconds, or you jot down one thing you're grateful for. That's called habit stacking. You're not creating a new routine from scratch, you're piggybacking on one that already exists. The trick is to make it so small it feels almost silly. Want to start journaling? Don't write a page. Just one sentence. Want to get fit? Don't commit to an hour at the gym. Just do one push-up. These tiny actions bypass resistance. They're too small to fail. And once you start, momentum builds. Here's something most people get wrong. They rely on motivation. But motivation is like a spark. It flares up, then fades. What you need is frictionless consistency. That means removing barriers. If your goal is to read more, leave a book on your pillow. If you want to drink more water, fill a bottle and keep it in sight. Make the habit easier to do than to ignore. Let's talk about cues. Every habit starts with a trigger. It could be a time of day, a location, an emotion, or another behavior. For example, brushing your teeth might cue you to floss. Feeling stressed might cue you to scroll your phone. The key is to hijack those cues and redirect them. If stress triggers scrolling, replace it with deep breathing. If bedtime triggers Netflix, swap it with reading one page. And then there's the reward. Your brain needs to feel good about the habit. That doesn't mean chocolate after every push-up. It means recognizing the win. Check a box. Say, "I did it," smile. That tiny celebration reinforces the behavior. It tells your brain, this matters. Now let's be real. You'll miss days. Life gets messy. That's okay. The goal isn't perfection, it's resilience. If you miss a day, don't miss two. That's the rule. One slip doesn't break the chain. Two slips start a new one. Tracking helps. Not obsessively, but visually. A calendar with X's. A simple app. A sticky note. Seeing progress builds identity. You're no longer someone trying to build a habit. You're someone who does it. That shift from action to identity is where transformation locks in. Here's a story. A man wanted to get fit, but instead of forcing himself to work out, he made a rule. He'd drive to the gym every day, walk in, and stay for 5 minutes. That's it. No workout required. Sounds pointless, right? But after a few weeks, he was working out regularly. Why? Because he built the identity first. He became the kind of person who goes to the gym. The workouts followed. That's the secret. You're not just building habits. You're building a new version of yourself. One tiny action at a time, so think about it. What's one habit you could start today? Not tomorrow. Not next week, today. Something so small it feels laughable. That's the one. That's your domino. And once you've picked it, don't wait for motivation. Build a cue. Remove friction. Celebrate the win. Track the progress. And when you stumble, get back up. Because the shift isn't in the habit, it's in who you're becoming. Now that you've got the tools, let's see what happens when these habits compound. When the ripple becomes a wave. When the domino chain reaches the end. Let's explore what transformation really looks like. When the unseen becomes unstoppable. You've picked your domino. You've learned how to stack it. How to keep it standing even when life tries to knock it over. Now comes the part most people never see. The quiet transformation that unfolds behind the scenes. It doesn't happen overnight. There's no dramatic montage, no fireworks. But one day you wake up and realize something's different. You're not forcing yourself to drink water in the morning. You just do it. You're not trying to be productive. You've become someone who is. The habit isn't just something you do. It's part of who you are. This is the moment when the ripple becomes a wave. Let's go back to that 1% shift. It's easy to dismiss, too small to matter. But when you stack those shifts day after day, they compound. Like interest in a bank account, except the currency is your energy, your focus, your confidence. And the growth? It's exponential. Think about this. If you improve by 1% each day, you're not just getting better. You're multiplying. That's how someone goes from writing 1 sentence a day to finishing a novel, from walking 5 minutes to running marathons, from reading 1 page to becoming a thought leader. The transformation sneaks up on you, but when it arrives, it's undeniable. And here's the twist. Most people around you won't notice it at first. They'll see the results later. The calm in your voice, the clarity in your decisions, the strength in your posture. They'll ask, what changed? And you'll know it wasn't one big thing. It was 1,000 tiny ones. This is what makes micro habits so powerful. They don't just change your schedule, they change your story. You start to trust yourself again. You keep promises to yourself. You build momentum. And with every small win, your identity shifts. You're no longer someone who tries. You're someone who does. That's the real transformation, not just in your actions, but in your belief about who you are. Let's pause here for a second. If this journey is resonating with you, if you're starting to see how small shifts can lead to big breakthroughs, consider subscribing to the channel. It's a simple click, but it helps this message reach more people who are ready to change just like you. And it keeps you connected to more tools, stories, and strategies that can support your growth. Now back to the wave. The beauty of this process is that it's self-sustaining. Once you've built a few micro habits, they start to reinforce each other. Drinking water leads to better sleep. Better sleep leads to clearer thinking. Clearer thinking leads to better decisions. And better decisions, they shape your future. You don't need to chase motivation anymore. You've built a system. And that system carries you even on the hard days. Here's something powerful to remember. Transformation isn't loud. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's the version of you that's been waiting beneath the surface, slowly rising with each small act of consistency. So what happens next? You keep going. You keep stacking. You keep choosing the 1% shift. And over time, you'll look back and realize you didn't just change your habits. You changed your life. And it all started with something so small you almost didn't notice. Let that sink in.